June the 15th, 2024. Guys, you're looking at a paused image from the satellites of the sunset last night over the west coast, or over the Pacific Ocean, as a matter of fact. And you can see the very bright area right here, and that's where the reflection of the sun is hitting it directly from the view of the satellite. And you'll see it come from the right side of your picture here in this curvature, and it shows the tilt of our planet towards the sun, how it's increased through the summer. And I think it's increased a little more than normal, according to every one of you guys that have commented on the videos when I was talking about moving my solar panels further north than I ever have. Anyway, it's just as an example of that, I paused it here. But what we're watching is still in the area of the Yucatan in the very northwestern section of the Caribbean. So let me play this forward. But again, you can see this as it moves. I've got this backed up 200 frames, and that'll go through a couple of day and nights. Let's play this forward. There's the sunset, sunrise to your right. And here's the sun. You can see it very brightly here, and you can watch the reflection. So come through this day. Clouds are less. Watch it go over the west coast. Right there, see that? But it's that curve, and again the tilt during the summertime. And what we're dealing with is the train of storms coming from Africa is starting to pick up. There's more of them. It's kind of a solid chain of them now, so we'll keep an eye on that. But right in this area, and this is what we watched in the last few videos, we're starting to see some activity pick up, and it looks like, and I hope I'm wrong, to be honest with you. I live in a coastal state. I hope I'm wrong, completely wrong, about the size of what may be forming there. And of course, we're talking about 86-degree water and very warm. That's all it needs. That's more than enough for tropical development. I'm going to zoom this up a little closer. Now, this is right over the Yucatan Peninsula. That's kind of the view that we've been watching. This area is still under a 50% chance of development. We'll take a look at that on the National Hurricane Center, but it's been like that for about 3 days. It went from, I think, 20 to 40. Now it's 50, maybe 4 days. Not a lot of activity there, but they sure were expecting it to be there, and I'm not saying it's not going to appear, but that is strange in itself. 3-day outlook, 4-day outlook of one area with zero development. Now, again, you know how I feel about some of what I think is going on here. I won't go into detail about that again. But guys, right at the surface, you can see these clouds are very low, closer to the water. And you see the upper level clouds coming this way, again, about to inundate southern Florida. And what is this, guys? The 4th day, maybe? Something like that. So you're probably approaching 30 inches in some areas, because 2 days ago you were above 20 inches. Just keep an eye on this. We're going to flip this radar where you can see where the storms are in just a moment. Going back to here, you've got at the surface rotation trying to start over this complete area. If you look at it very closely, then at the upper level, we're still getting the storms moving off to the right. And here you can see the moisture coming in from the Caribbean. Also in the last few frames, instead of just random clouds moving with the cloud currents, we're starting to see storms move into the center of this area. See this train right there, and that goes down quite a bit into the Caribbean from here. So there's going to be moisture feeding into it, it looks like. And you've got, again, 86 degrees plus water, I think, in this area. Very warm, more than enough. Now, I want to flip this radar. Let's take a look at where this moisture is going. Now, using infrared, you can, again, see the difference in the cloud tops where the rain and storms are. And you can see the under section here. And I think it's just waiting on the moisture to build up. It's already got everything it needs. Low pressures in the area. You can see the rotation there. It wants to begin. And the moisture feed. Look, this is the line I was talking about. That's building back down into the Caribbean. So you've got that moisture there and the moisture here. Now, we haven't had many storms in the northern Gulf at all. What we saw came out of this area and then moved over Florida just as it is now. But this area is large, and if enough moisture gets in there, then this thing could develop. And it's got this northwest movement kind of in this area like that. Now that could change, we know, but once it gets off into the Gulf, right now the land is subduing the development, just like when they come ashore, a hurricane will go down in categories. But when this thing gets fully offshore, this section, and we continue to get moisture feeding in there, this could change very quickly. A couple of the models are showing storms coming into the Gulf, again, one into Texas area and then one further north. We'll take a look at that. And just quickly, while we're here, I did want to show you the water vapor loop. This orange and yellow area is very dry air, and you can see the boundary very clearly here in the blue, and it goes into white and green tops. That's your higher clouds. So you can see the moisture in Florida. It's not as bad as it was. You do have a little more coming offshore, but it does look like it, to me, that it's going to be in southern Florida, maybe the Keys, a lot of this. We'll just see. But what I was saying, the importance of the moisture coming in this tail trail, coming in out of the Caribbean, it will be following the system that's under here. You can kind of see some of the action right in this area from that storm or from that low pressure area. And it's going to need it, because without that moisture, it's going to be hard for anything to develop in this area because of the dry conditions. Now, what they're expecting, again, same area for the last 3 or 4 days. Again, it's remained at 50% for the last 2 days at least. It says that this broad area of low pressure is forecast to form over the southwestern Gulf early next week. Environmental conditions appear conducive for gradual development of the system, and a tropical depression could form by the middle part of next week. Now, what's important is what they're saying here. It says environmental conditions appear conducive, and a tropical depression could form by the middle part of next week while the system moves slowly westward or northwestward. Regardless of development, locally heavy rains are likely to occur over portions of southeastern Mexico and Central America during the next several days. So there's going to be moisture involved, and that would increase the chance of any development in the area. Now, my concern is still north of the Yucatan. This is their area that's pretty clear right now. Been like that for a few days, except for that hazy appearance and not much movement in the lower atmosphere. And something could develop here. If all of this is caught up in a upper level wind pattern moving from east to west, then I can see that storm getting into this area. But that doesn't appear to be happening to me watching the satellites. I think we're going to see more of a development move into the central sections of the Gulf. Then if the pattern changes, we'll go from there. But that would we'd have to really watch Texas and Louisiana at that part. And anything comes through southern Louisiana comes through central Mississippi. Now, this model is coming from the Sky Tower Weather Channel from Fox Hurricane in Florida, guys. And it's for Tuesday, and that's what they're expecting to happen by then. You can see Houston, Texas there. And you notice the area of low pressure and the rotation, the storms gathering around it here. But also it's relying on this train of moisture that we are seeing in real time now. But the storm, again, is a little further to the right. It would have to take a hard left turn to match Tuesday's prediction, but I'm not saying it can't do it. So everyone in this area, I hope you need rain, because it looks like you're going to get it regardless of where the storm goes. But it's very dry there now. So they may have to, again, bring all of this a little back to the east. We will see. Now, they're saying that their high-resolution Fox model indicates gradual development of the system early next week as it drifts slowly towards Mexico. At this point, we may have our first tropical depression of the hurricane season, and we'll be watching to see if this becomes Tropical Storm Alberto, which is the first name on the 2024 list of names. Regardless of any development of the system, it will not pose a risk to Florida. And that's good news, guys, because you have had more rain than most hurricanes dump on you. But in a longer time, as far as lasting, a hurricane, we usually won't set over you for 3 or 4 days and keep dumping rain. It will move on. But right now, Again, this model you're looking at is forward, but you've got rain coming in on you now. So just be aware of the low-lying areas there in Florida and watch as the heating of the day progresses. We're already over 100 degrees here. Let me turn so I can look at the actual number of the real feel on our monitor. It's 93 degrees with a real feel of 105. And that's with low humidity at 61%, guys. Usually that humidity, when it starts getting this hot, is up in the 80s or 90%. When this humidity changes, all of my friends here in the southeast, if it's 61% humidity, we have a real feel of 105. It's going to be a rough summer. Be prepared for that. And pay attention to your pets. Guys, if you don't have... you can get these outside weather stations, the small ones, guys, they're not that much. And it could be a lifesaver for you to realize what the real feel is outside your home, whether you're going to go out and work at that point or your animals are out there and you've got a regular thermometer that's saying you're in the 90s. But so really you need to have the real feel and the heat index and chill factors and all that included in your thermometer and your weather system. Weather is going to be more and more critical. So take a look at that. We don't sell them or anything like that. I'm not trying to sell you one. But they are very nice. Ours have had a very long life. And one of them we would take with us to Florida, mounted on the truck or on the boat, and keep up the wind speeds and pressure drops and all of that. And it still made it through that, and we're using it right now. That's what I just read from. Let's look at a couple of models. Now, first, the Canadian model. I've got it paused at the first images or the first predictions from the model from this morning. Notice your timestamp here. Let's play it forward. Here's your system in the Gulf. It really shows two. One is just along the Texas-Mexican border, a little further north than what they were predicting earlier. But the second storm comes in just to the the west of Houston, Galveston, Texas area. And if that holds true, we know it changes each day. That would put the worst part of the storm up into Galveston Bay if this holds together. You've got high pressure moving across Florida. Watch this. This should dry you out some. And going to keep this thing from going to Florida. And that's why you're saying you don't have to worry about it. When this high pressure sets in, it's going to warm things up too. So be aware of that. And that may be what we're starting to see with this heat index being this high with this low of humidity for us. Now, let's take a look at the Navy model. It's showing the same thing, two storms basically, and they are a little further north than what we've been seeing. We'll play it through, starting today. First storm, this one's a little further north, more into Texas, and it doesn't go as far as the Canadian model. And you'll see it stop right here as the second system is forming in the Bay of Campeche. More than likely, depending on where this high pressure really ends up, that will be the determining factor of where this second storm goes. Because it's going to try this until their storms are strong, guys. High pressure controls them. But once they get to a certain size, they can blow right through it with no problem. Still have some effect on it, but not nearly like it does when you're at the weaker stages like this. We're watching it, guys. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.